So now more than ever, I think it helps us to look at different ways of summoning our inner light, the truth of who we are. And one of those ways that I'd like to focus on today is inspired from this book by Lissa Rankin called The Daily Flame. And in it, she talks about this concept of the inner pilot light. And that inner pilot light to her is the inner healer. It's your inner guide. It's your compass. It's your it's your companion. And it's really the true you, this inner pilot light. And she begins talking about the source of this pilot light is really this, think about this primordial bonfire, this huge bonfire. It's the source of all things, and it can symbolize God. And just think of yourself as you're dancing around this fire. You can feel the warmth of this fire, and a spark of that fire is within you. And so no matter how far you stray from this fire in your mind, this spark is indelible within you. It will never, never go out. It's the very light of your soul. And I like this inner pilot light metaphor because also when you think of a pilot light, you think of something that's never extinguished, right? I remember when the electricity went out and I was panicking, thinking, oh gosh, I'm not going to have any hot water. Well, of course, I'm going to have hot water because the pilot light stays lit. As long as that pilot light stays lit, I'm going to have hot water. And the word pilot in pilot light, I want to pay attention to that. Just thinking about pilot, envisioning a force that's guiding us through the uncertainty, right? And I looked this up in the dictionary, pilot, and pilot means to guide, to lead, or to steer. And guide implies that the guide has intimate knowledge of the way and all of its difficulties. And this is right from Webster's online dictionary. Guide implies that the guide has intimate knowledge of the way and all of its difficulties. And so there's a very comforting feeling knowing that that is within you, your own inner guide, your inner pilot light that can't be extinguished, that's there at all times. The pilot light is also an activator. So when everything else goes out, the pilot light is able to slowly ignite all other things and make everything come alive again, right? And I thought about, we've all seen movies where people are, wandering through tunnels or caves or in a dark house and they've got torches, right? And how many movies have you seen where the torches start to run out, but that one person that's left with the torch is able to light all the other torches? And that is this symbolism of the pilot light activating everything else. So I wanted to share how Lissa Rankin in her book, The Daily Flame, came about and made this concept powerful in her own life. She was a doctor working in a hospital, and she had just lost her father. She was also pregnant with her first daughter. And you might imagine being a physician is a very stressful job. And she was feeling the stress, she was feeling the grief, she was feeling pulled in a million directions. And she was also feeling that her calling as a physician was not serving her. But yet she had the golden handcuffs on because her husband wasn't working, she had bills to pay, and she had reality to face. But she hit emotional bottom while she was stressed out. One day she remembers palpably just crying on the bathroom floor, just crying, just giving up in tears. And she she didn't know what to do aside from reach out in prayer and just say, "Help me." And what she heard in that moment was a voice. And that voice told her, "Sweetheart, you're going to have to quit your job." And she began to argue with that voice in her head. She said to it, "I can't quit my job. My husband doesn't work. I've got a baby coming. I've got obligations. I can't do that." And the voice said back to her, "You don't have to do anything right now. You just have to make peace with what's true." And so in that moment, she discovered her inner pilot light, the voice of this pilot light. And over the coming months, as she began to trust it more and more, she eventually did leave her work as a physician. She became an author and a spiritual speaker. She wrote at least 2 books that I'm aware of. And she still listens to her inner pilot light as her guiding light. She's not the first one to write about the inner pilot light. In fact, she quotes in her book a poet named Mark Nepo, who some of you may have heard of. And Mark Nepo says this about the inner pilot light: "Each person is born with an unencumbered spot, free of expectation and regret, free of ambition and embarrassment, free of fear and worry, an umbilical spot of grace where each of us was first touched by God." And he goes on to say, "The act of uncovering this inner pilot light and orienting your life from it, allowing it to make all of life's big and small decisions, is the foundation of the esoteric branches of all religions, all energy healing, and all trauma healing work." I'll read that once more. "The act of uncovering this inner pilot light and orienting your life from it, allowing it to make all of life's big and small decisions, is the foundation of the esoteric branches of all religions, all energy healing, and all trauma healing work." That's pretty powerful stuff. There's another author I wanted to talk about today, and her name is Debbie Ford. She passed away some years ago, but she wrote many, many books, and one of her more popular ones was this one called The 21-Day Consciousness Cleanse. And in this 21-day practice, she talks about orienting yourself around this. It's like an inner pilot light. It's what she calls it, the inner flame. And it's really the same thing that Lissa Rankin and Mark Nepo were talking about. And at the beginning of each of these 21 days of her practice of the 21-day consciousness cleanse, which I highly recommend that. It's very readable. She begins with these questions. And I'm going to pose these questions to you, and I would like for you to think of them right now while I'm asking them. First of all, just connect with your inner flame or your inner pilot light. And I ask you, what is the condition of that inner light right now? Is it bright? Is it shaky? Is it strong? And I ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how you would rate its brilliance right now. Now go ahead and just pick whatever number feels right in terms of where your inner light is right now. And now, what would you like for that inner light to be radiating at by the end of the day? What number would you like to reach by the end of the day? And finally, here comes part of the practice. What intention or healing mantra, what intention or healing mantra can you create? Or even just a simple thought to strengthen your inner flame, to strengthen and remember that that inner flame is inextricably linked to the bonfire of all life. So I'll give you a moment to think about that. And right before my talk, I was thinking of my own mantra. It might be, I'm stronger than I know. Or it might be, something wonderful is about to happen. Or it might be, I'm always guided and protected. So think about yours for a second. Think about your healing mantra, your thought or intention that brightens the light. And maybe just jot it down. And all of this that we've been talking about is really just to remind you of your connection, to remind you that you are a part of that divine bonfire light, isn't it? It's the first two principles of unity. God is the bonfire, and you're the spark. You are divine, just as God is. And this is your source energy that never leaves you. As Jesus said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness. And you are the light of the world. So when you stumble and when you look outside or when you look at the news and you get caught in those conditions of seeing nothing but darkness, I invite you to summon your inner pilot light. And you can do this as part of prayer, as a part of meditation. It's a great way to begin. Just summoning your inner pilot light. And there's a couple of ways, if you're in doubt, that you can, if you get lost in the darkness, if you just can't shake yourself out of the worry or the fear of whatever is right in front of you, there are a couple things to remember. This is my takeaway from reading these books. One of them is, I found it so uncanny that both authors, both Lissa Rankin and Debbie Ford, said almost the same exact words about the moment when they discovered the pilot light. And they were both they both were crying on the bathroom floor. Now, I'm not saying go to the bathroom floor and cry. What I'm saying is, they reached a moment, both of them, that was uncannily similar in terms of reaching a state of surrender. And I think we've all been there before, where we couldn't think of anything else to do but just pray. And there have been times in my life where I've said that I didn't know what else to do but just get on my knees and pray in the old way and say, help me. And that's what they did. Lissa Rankin said, help. And Debbie Ford recited the Serenity Prayer. And that's how they got their connection to their pilot light. So that's one way to do it. The next is, you have to be willing. You have to say, I am willing to leave this state that I'm in right now. And if I'm in a pity party, I have to be willing to leave that pity party, right? I have to be willing to ask to be in a better place. And in that asking, thinking of Mark chapter 7, verse 7, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find it. Knock and the door shall be opened unto you. Ask, seek, knock. For everyone who asks receives. That's all you have to do is ask. And that's what they did. They asked for help, and help appeared. And finally, if you're feeling out of touch with your inner pilot light, you can go online and find this prayer written by Lissa Rankin, and it's spelled Lissa. I'll send it out in the next newsletter. And it's called A Prayer for Help, an Inner Pilot Light Invocation. And I'm going to read it right now. I surrender to the invisible forces of love to show me my inner pilot light. I surrender. Let my pilot light guide my journey and remind me to trust. Let me remember that when I'm lost, the perfect path will unfold in divine timing, and I will know what is needed on a need-to-know basis. May my inner pilot light comfort, illuminate, encourage, and guide me so that I may be blessed and that I may be a blessing. May this be a journey of radical, heart-opening, physical, mental, and emotional, and spiritual healing. May I be not a seeker, but a finder, for I already have all that I need to have. All the love I could ever imagine, right here inside of my own heart. May I know that I am unspeakably precious, that I am enough, that there is no punishing God out there looking to judge me, that I cannot do this human life wrong, that I do not have to do anything to earn God's love, and that I am deeply, unconditionally accepted just the way that I am. I love that prayer. And that inspired me to just go into my own prayer now, and I'd like you to join me. And so just go inner, if you will, as we evoke this inner pilot light. When you're in doubt, look no further than inside of yourself. Look to the inner pilot light that is the real essence of you. When you feel lost, turn inside and summon this light, summon this spark, remembering that you are a part of the bonfire. Knowing and remembering that you've always been guided by this inner light. It's never left you. It's never been hurt. The spark of the divine that is you has never been hurt. Always forgiven with nothing that needs to be forgiven. So this inner pilot light glows, never extinguished, guiding you. It's the love inside of you that makes all things wonderful. And on the days when you feel lost and in the moments when you feel lost, know that this light connects you to the source. You're not alone. And I give thanks in deepest gratitude for this light that we all are. And so it is.